All right. Hey guys, welcome. Let me get my screen straight. Welcome to this edition of your Healing Journey Live. I am Ernest James. I am your uh, mental health advocate and grief guide. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to our Healing Journey Live. We take this journey together every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Our This live is sponsored by um, it is sponsored by the Deal to Heal School for Living, Deal to Heal School for Living, which is our program. Did I say our platform? Hold on a second. Let me turn this down a little bit. This is good. Turn my background music down a little bit. Welcome again. So our live is brought to you by the Deal to Heal School for Living, which is our our platform on the school network, or should I say, our network on the school platform, community, however you say it. And our goal is to help us to further our mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. And so there we have different workshops and resources to help you on your healing journey and your growth, personal growth journey. There are two workshops that deal with grief, which is embracing your grief workshop and maintaining your grief during your mourning. Both of those workshops are there. Also, there are other workshops, including finding your purpose and overcoming failure, and some other workshops that is there as well. Again, it's all to help you on your journey, right? On your healing journey and on your personal growth journey. So make sure you guys go check out the Deal to Heal School for Living. The first 7 days are absolutely free. After that, it's only $27 a month. And each month you have access to a new workshop. So you can go to the school platform and look us up, or you can scan the QR code in the upper corner and it'll take you right to it. So make sure you guys go there and check that out. All right. So also, if you guys, let me do this really quickly while I'm looking at this. If you guys don't want to join the school platform, but you guys still want to, let me see what I'm doing here. Okay, yeah, take that away. So if you guys don't want to join the school platform, but you still want to take part in the workshops, you can go take the workshops actually on our Eventbrite page. If you go to Eventbrite, every other second Saturday right now, we are doing a workshop. We're doing one of the workshops. We're doing the Embracing Your Grief workshop. So not this Saturday. Actually, this Saturday will be part of our one of our other workshops that we are a part of, which is our forgiveness workshop. So this Saturday, I'll make sure I put it in the description somewhere, or just look in the descriptions, click on my the link in my bio for my link tree, and you should be able to find the information there. But so this Saturday, we are doing a part of our forgiveness workshop, which is a virtual workshop that we do surrounding forgiveness. We talk about forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world, and all of those things. So make sure you guys are going, find the link somewhere around here and just go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Workshop sponsored by the Forgiveness Missions, which is another thing that we do. So make sure you guys are checking us out there as well. So today, again, this is our Thursday edition for this week of Your Healing Journey Live. And so today I want to talk to you about just some of the things that you need for yourself as you go on your healing journey when you're mourning, when you're dealing with grief, or when you're mourning, right? There's a few things that you need to do for yourself in order to um, process your grief, in order to stay ahead of your grief, right? In order to process your grief, in order to heal naturally, and in a good space. So there are just several things that you need to do once you experience a loss. And today we're talking about loss of a loved one. But once you experience a loss, there are some things that you need to kind of keep in your mind that you want to do while you're healing, in order to help you to heal, in order to help you to be able to accept the reality of the loss that you have just experienced, be able to accept the loss, and how that loss affects you, affects your family, affects your health, affects your mental, should I say. You need to understand how that loss affects you. And so there are just some things that you need to do, some things that you need to have in place when it comes to dealing with grief, right? So the first thing I want to say that I want you guys to do. Number one, when you have experienced a grief, the first thing I want you to do is to ask and accept help, right? Ask and accept help from others. I think that is so important because a lot of times when we are dealing with grief, when we're dealing with some type of loss, one of the first things we do is to remove ourselves from everyone else, right? Kind of remove ourselves and say, well, I'm going to process this alone. I'm just feeling some type of way. You feel like you don't want to be a burden to others. But grief is one of those things that is so heavy, right? And can get even heavier when you don't have the support that you may need. And so one of the things that we have to do is, number one, ask for support when we need it, and accept the support when it's offered, right? Because a lot of times when you're going on this journey by yourself and you're trying to figure things out and you're trying to figure out your emotions, you don't necessarily always able to do that alone. And I believe that you really can't do it alone, right? Because when you're left alone, when you're left to your own devices, when you're left to your own imagination, those things can get really heavy. Those memories can get heavy. The sadness can get heavy. The reality of what you're facing can get heavy. And it's just something that you don't want to do alone. Even in my case, definitely when I was grieving the loss of my mom and the loss of my mother-in-law at the same time, one of the things that I did was I joined a bereavement support group. It's an awesome group. And I've shared about it before, but shout out to Hospice of Calumet in the Northwest Indiana region, which is who I went to their spaces because they had helped my mom and my mother-in-law actually, during that time, right? During the end of life time, they gave services to my mom and to my mother-in-law. And so being connected to them for that reason, then I found out that they did have bereavement support groups. And so I joined their bereavement support group in order to help me deal with my emotions and deal with the things that I was going through, the thoughts and the feelings, right? So you don't want to do it alone. You don't want to try to process and carry this grief and carry this burden, the burden of grief by yourself, especially if you don't have to. So reach out to a physical support group. You can reach out to an online support group. I actually had created, after my time of being in the support group, when I did leave, I became a volunteer first, and I volunteered for a little bit over a year. And then after that, I started a nonprofit named Anne Christine Charities after my mom and my mother-in-law. And I did bereavement support. I did bereavement support in my community. I brought it to my community. And even on Facebook, I actually started a bereavement support group on Facebook. It might even still be there. I haven't been active in it in some time, but it's probably still there as well. But the point that I'm making in all of what I just said is, again, ask and accept help as you're processing your grief, as you're dealing with your grief. and that you're dealing with the loss that you have just experienced with the loss of losing a loved one. So that's number one. So the second thing that I want you to do, I want you to accept the reality of what has happened, right? So one of the things that we deal with when we lose someone, there's a feeling of shock. Sometimes it's the shock kicks in, and you often hear people say or describe it as, I feel like I'm in a dream. I feel like I'm going to wake up at any time, and this is all going to be a nightmare that goes away once I wake. But the reality is, it is the reality, right? The reality is you did lose someone who you loved, and you may have lost them in a way that didn't allow you to have closure, right? So there are some people like myself, when I experienced the loss of my mom and my mother-in-law, they were sick over time, right? And so as they, got sicker and weaker, I still had that time where I was able to spend with them, to get the closure, to come to terms with the fact that they were, possibly leaving, and eventually did leave. But what I want to say, everybody doesn't always get that, right? Everybody doesn't always get the time to be able to process the fact that their loved one is leaving. Sometimes we lose people quickly, whether it's an accident, whether it's a sickness that, you didn't even think that was going to be until death. And then now it is, actually this week on the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, this week's episode that came out Wednesday, I was talking to Crystal King, I believe. I'm going to make sure I say her name right. Crystal King, and sharing her story of being a widow, right? And so part of her story was when her husband went to the hospital, it was just like for a routine check. He wasn't sick, it wasn't sickness or anything like that. But he went to the hospital for a routine check and had some things done, and ended up getting infected or something like that, and went into surgery and never came back out, and so sometimes we are given the time to be able to get the closure by acknowledging that, okay, my loved one is sick, my loved one is going through something, my loved one possibly may pass, and then they pass away. And so you are able to process it a little better because you were there for, a period of time coming up into them passing away. But then again, and like in Crystal's case, and you guys can check out the episode on the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast that actually came out Wednesday, yesterday actually. But in her case, she went to the hospital with her husband to this routine checkup or routine procedure that he was going to have, and he walked in, and then never came back out. At least never came back out, alive. And so sometimes we don't always get that chance to process the grief in real time, or process the grief over time. Sometimes it's suddenly, and then we have to deal with it. And so I'm talking about, accepting the fact that you have lost someone, accepting the fact that someone you love is no longer here. Because again, that shock kicks in sometimes, that denial kicks in. Sometimes the shock of it, you don't believe it's true. Then the denial of it is, it's true, but you say, no, I'm not going to accept it. And then sometimes it's just hard to accept it. So you're kind of fighting your mind, you're fighting your mental, you're fighting your emotions, saying, no, this can't be true. And so even though those are natural reactions when dealing with grief and the grief of losing someone, I still want you guys to be able to take the time that you need. Take the time you need. I'm not rushing anyone. There's no time limit on grief. There's no time limit on how long you can. It should take you to process. It takes what it takes, right? It takes the amount of time that it takes. It takes the amount of time that you need it to take in order to process your emotions, in order to come to terms with the loss that you have experienced. Take as much time as you need. Don't let no one force you into speeding up the process that you need to grieve. Don't let anyone tell you that you grieve long enough. Don't let anyone tell you how to grieve, and that's a whole nother topic. But don't let anyone tell you how to grieve. Everyone's grief is unique. Everyone's grief have its own timetable. Everyone's grief is not experienced the same. Some of us are able to process our grief in a way that we cry every day. And then some of us are able to process our grief that when we remember our loved ones, we smile or we laugh. And even that sometimes can be confusing to others who may grieve differently. It's like, why are you laughing? Like, we just lost a loved one. We just lost someone that means so much to us. And, they're over there crying, but you're laughing. And now they're mad at you because you grieve different than they grieve. Don't worry about that. Grieve however it takes, in whichever way that it takes for you to grieve, for you to process the loss that you have. Okay, so all that being said, second thing I want you to do is to accept the reality of the grief in which you have experienced. Thirdly, I would say try your best to remember the person who you lost. Try your best to remember them in every detail, right? Remember them as a whole person. And if that may be hard, then you may have to remember them just in the spaces that make you feel better, right? There are some people who may lose someone who, for lack of a better term, they loved, but that person may not have been really nice to them, right? Some of us have father wounds and mother wounds that, sometimes our parents may not have been the nicest person, right? Or may not have been the nicest person to us. And especially when we start talking about, step parents, stepfathers, stepmothers, and uncles and aunties, all these people who may be our loved ones, or who may have treated us a certain way while they were here, right? And so it may be challenging to remember them in a good space, right? But I would say remember them the best that you can and honor them with the memories that you hold on to. Even if some of those memories may be bad. Again, we can love someone and not necessarily have the best or may have had the best relationship with them. Again, there are people who come into your life and you love them and you care about them, but they're not the nicest people, or they might not even be the nicest person, not just to you, but they might not even be the nicest person to themselves, right? So we all know that we have people that are loved ones that sometimes don't make good decisions. And because of the decisions that they make, they find themselves in situations and in places that may cause them harm. And sometimes that harm could lead to their own depths. And so now we're left here grieving that loss, but also having to acknowledge the fact that some of the reason why we're grieving is because some of the decisions that they made. And so they may not have been, they may not have made the best decisions. They may not have been, the best and the kindest person. However, we still want to remember them the best we can, hopefully in a good light, hopefully to be able to remember everything that they did good for you, everything that they did that made you feel happy, everything that they did that made you feel comforted. And so we want to remember them the best we can. And if we have to, if we don't have, my grandma used to always say, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. And so sometimes we might not have good memories of the person that we lost, but we could just hold on to the fact that we cared enough and we loved enough that we are now grieving that loss that we have, because that's what grief is. Grief is just evidence that you loved, right? Evidence that you was loved, evidence that you cared about the person who you lost, right? And so again, just remembering those people that we lost. So we talked about number one, asking and accepting help, right, from other people, looking for help, again, finding those, whether it's bereavement groups, online support groups, in-person support groups, or just a friend or a loved one who may come to see about you. Accept that help, right? And if no one comes to see about you, or no one volunteers, should I say, then ask for the help that you need. I need someone to talk to. I need someone just to sit with me. I need someone to help me process this loss that I'm experiencing. So number one was ask and accept help. Number two, we talked about accepting the reality of the loss that you've had, accepting the reality of the loss of the loved one that you had. And again, it don't only have to be a loved one, because I often say grief don't care, right? It don't care what the loss is. It just cared that you cared enough to feel the loss, right? So it can be a loss of a loved one, loss of a pet, loss of a relationship, loss of a marriage, loss of a career, loss of a dream that you had, that didn't quite come through, loss of a business, any kind of loss, any kind of major loss, you can grieve. And so when we talk about grieving, generally we're talking about grieving the loss of a loved one, but you can grieve any loss that you care deeply about. So we talked about accepting the reality of the loss. And then we talked about remembering the person who passed, right? Remembering the person who passed away to the best of your ability, to remember them in a good light, right? To remember them in ways that make you feel comforted when you think about them, make you feel happy when you think about them. Remember situations or experiences that you may have had together that make you feel joyous, that make you feel warm. To the best of our knowledge, that's what we want to do, the best of our ability, should I say. We want to remember those who we may have lost, and to the best of our knowledge. So again, sometimes we don't have loved ones who, it may be complicated. It may be complicated how we feel about them, right? We love them, but they may have made some choices or did some things, that we question. That were questionable, and or just did some things or said some things that we may not have liked, but yet and still, we want to try to look and remember them in a good light, in a good space that make us feel better, right? And so, thank you guys. I'm gonna end it here. So I just gave you 3 things to do that I would like you guys to do when you are dealing with loss, when you're dealing with excuse me, when you're dealing with loss. Hey, Crystal, I didn't see you on here. I mentioned you, so make sure you guys go check out the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. This week's podcast actually came out yesterday. Crystal King was my guest, and I talked to you guys a little earlier. I mentioned her earlier about when we don't have the ability. Sometimes we don't have the ability to adjust to the loss, right? So we talked about in my what am I trying to say? In my experience with losing my mom was sick for a certain amount of time, and so I had time to process the fact that she was sick and process the fact that she might be, she might pass away, which eventually she did. But that's not always, the ability that everyone has, or should I say the opportunity that everyone has. And Crystal shared her story on the podcast this Wednesday, the podcast that aired this Wednesday with Crystal King as my guest. And she talked about her experience with her husband and, who passed away suddenly, and having to grieve that loss, having to accept that loss, and even then becoming a widow and now navigating the space of being a widow and finding healing through that process, and also connecting with other people who were also dealing with the loss. So, hey, Crystal, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for leaving a comment. Make sure you guys, the rest of you guys, yeah, leave us a comment. If we, excuse me, if I say something, if you have a question or anything like that, make sure you guys leave your comments, and we should be able to see them on the screen, and if not, they do pop up on my end, and sometime I will be able to ask them some questions, or respond to a comment that you may have made. So thank you guys. Again, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal, not the Deal to Heal. Make sure you guys check out the Deal to Heal with EJ's podcast. And I was trying to say that, but that is not what this is. This is not the Deal to Heal podcast, but this is the Your Healing Journey Live, which is a live that we do every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time with me as your mental health advocate and your grief guide. I am Ernest James. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. So whether you're watching this on Facebook, on my Facebook page, on my Facebook community, or on LinkedIn, or on YouTube. Yeah, so we're in all those places. So this live, when we go live at 4 o'clock, it is going to all of those places. My public page, or should I say my personal page on Facebook, my Deal to Heal community on Facebook, which is a private community. It is going there, live there, and LinkedIn, and also we're going live on YouTube as well. So again, every Tuesday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. we are going live with Your Healing Journey Live. I am Ernest James. I am your grief guide and your mental health advocate. And so I'm just giving us tips and tools to help us to acknowledge and heal through this journey of grief while we're dealing with our loss of love, losing a loved one, or losing, different things. We often talked about more when we talk about loss, we talk about losing a loved one. So, but you can grieve other losses besides the loss of a loved one. But that being said, hey, Crystal, no problem. Thank you for being my guest, and thank you for tuning in to the live as well. I think maybe I should probably start having some guests on here as well. Maybe, I don't know. I will do that. Maybe, Crystal, I might call you and ask you to jump on here one day with me for one of our lives. I don't know. But this is the Your Healing Journey Live. I am your guest. I am your host and your grief guide, Ernest James. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. Again, we do this every Friday, every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We go live with Your Healing Journey Live, and I just give you some tips and tools to help you process your grief as we deal with the loss of our loved ones on this healing journey. So again, make sure you guys tune in. Thank you guys. Thank you again, Crystal. Definitely appreciate your support and everything that you do. Make sure you guys go check out Crystal's episode that was released yesterday on the Deal to Heal with EJ's podcast. Go to YouTube, check it out under the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Go to our channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you will find the Deal to Heal with EJ's podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast and some other videos and podcasts that we have there. So make sure you guys go check that out and check out Crystal's episode as well. Until next time, thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining us. Until next Tuesday at 4 p.m., you guys be blessed.